Are you serious? Are you serious? I mean, this video is going to blow your mind. What happens at Burning Man? Well, I'm just going to give you a taste of it, just a little bit of it. You'll have to listen to the entire interview at the Paul Begley podcast to get it all. But what I'm going to share with you is intriguing, to say the least. And, of course, the Paul Begley podcast is free. You can watch it at Spotify or iHeartRadio or Amazon Music or anywhere podcasts are, or on the Paul Begley podcast YouTube channel, which we really love for you to watch it there and subscribe. First of all, let me put a shout out for bhmd1.com/Paul. That's bhmd1.com/Paul. We've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. Now, one doctor says that there's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lakey, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixes on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. They hardly make a dent on your appearance, and some can even be harmful to your skin. But recently, Dr. John Lakey has focused his attention away from the mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? So he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. It's almost like photoshopping your face. You may even be mad after you see just how easy it is to visibly erase the wrinkles from the view. What? His personal clients have dubbed this new do-it-yourself technique the age rewinder method, because it can take years, even decades, off your appearance in under 2 minutes. In light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. John Lakey has released a step-by-step video to the public, free and uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. If this helps just one person look younger and feel more confident, he said, I'll be thrilled. The video's been seen over 3 million times. Guys, click on the link below this video. Click on the link below this video for I'll put that up there, BHMD1. That's BHMD1. Go there and find out more. You'll be glad that you did. All right? Wow. All right, so what happens at Burning Man? I mean, it's coming up, of course, this August, but we interviewed a man by the name of Carl Tykrib. He's from Canada, and a very intellectually brilliant guy, and he wrote a book called The Game of Gods. A fascinating interview. He's a Christian. He's a Bible college professor. He is highly intelligent. And when he's going to break down for you, matter of fact, we're just going to go right now. Let's just bring in Paul Jr. Let's just bring him in now and start the process, guys. What happens? And it's not just what happens at Burning Man, but what is happening with intellectual philosophy and discussion going on around the world. There's a Bible view, a biblical view, and then there's a world view. And they are miles apart.
But I would definitely agree. I think it's time for part two, especially after going through COVID, World Economic Forum, WHO, UN, pretty much all of the medical tyranny that you saw with COVID, that kind of blended into more so of how much can we control these people to get them to do certain things, or see how far we can actually control them to do it. Carl, I wanted to ask you. Actually, a lot of things you're talking about, I can kind of see, and I think most people can kind of see influence of not just Eastern religions, but also more traditional religions as well. Like Earth religions, Mother Earth religions, right? That's all oneism, like here on Earth, kind of thing that you're.
All right, I'm sorry we had an echo. Let me back that up.
But I would definitely agree. I think it's time for part two, especially after going through COVID, World Economic Forum, WHO, UN, pretty much all of the medical tyranny that you saw with COVID, but that kind of blended into more so of a how much can we control these people to get them to do certain things or see how far we can actually control them to do it. But Carl, I wanted to ask you, actually, a lot of things that you're talking about, I can kind of see, and I think most people can kind of see um, influence of not just Eastern religions, but also more traditional religions as well. Like Earth religions, Mother Earth religions, right? That's all oneism, like here on Earth, kind of thing that you're talking about. How do you see? And I wanted to focus a little more specifically about Burning Man. How do you see all of that kind of influence playing out in Burning Man? Is my first question for you.
Yeah, for sure. So, just to set the context, I've been to Burning Man 5 times. We have a camp at Burning Man called the Camp of the Unknown God, which is our outreach. So we're there to have conversations as Christians. And the name of the camp, it reflects Acts 17, when Paul goes to Athens, to Mars Hill, and he uses their culture, he leverages their worldview, and he does so specifically when he sees that they have a monument to the unknown God. And we do something very similar. We're just setting up a prop or a leverage point, and the name of our camp offers that leverage point, because people always ask, "Oh, what's your camp about?" And you give them your camp name. "Oh, I go to the camp. I'm part of the Camp of the Unknown God." Well, automatically that brings up a question: what is this about? So we go with that perspective as Christians. We want to have engagement as Christians. And then in terms of the research side, which goes to your question, the research side, as you take a look at Burning Man, Burning Man and transformational culture, because there's way more than just the burn in terms of transformational culture, represents a sense of collective celebration where we feel, and I'm going to emphasize that, we feel our oneness. We feel that oneness in the music. We feel that oneness by the common experience as we have entered the desert. The desert itself is a it's the Black Rock Desert. And by the way, no, it wasn't named after the financial powerhouse, the economic powerhouse, Black Rock.
Right.
It's been called the Black Rock Desert for generations, because there's happens to be one massive, huge black rock in the middle of this huge desert. And so there's this commonality that comes into play, this common experience, and you feel it. In fact, there's a Latin term for it, communitas. It's this organic feeling of community where you have all connected in, you all feel a vibration or feel a rhythm, the vibe, so to speak. And again, it's a feeling. Is it real, or is it something more ephemeral? Is it something more a transitioning thing? And so Burning Man is considered to be a temporary autonomous zone, a TAZ, an in-between or liminal state between the old world that's being rejected, the new world that you're anticipating, and for a short period of time, people are living out this sense of oneness in this container. And Burning Man is literally a container, not just psychologically, it's literally a container. You got a trash fence all the way around it. You've got security. There's night vision. There is a lot of tech on the ground to keep people in and also to keep people out. So it's literally a container. Container of 65 to 80,000 people, depending on the year.
Wow.
And so in the experience of this, you walk away feeling like, oh, I've now been in a pressure cooker of global transformation. I'm feeling transformed. In fact, I give the Burning Man organization credit in that they do surveys, which includes worldview questions along the lines of, have you been transformed? Do you see this as a transformational event? And a lot of people, are saying, yeah, this has shaped me. This has transformed me. I'm seeing the world in a different light. The artwork, a lot of the artwork speaks to this sense of oneness, or speaks to this connection to the earth, the connection back to the mother, the connection into something. In 2018, the theme was I, Robot. So a lot of the artwork was around, can man and machine merge? A lot of the conversations ended up having a transhumanist theme to them because of the overarching theme of man and machine, I, Robot. Of course, the famous science fiction story. And so the artwork itself compels those kinds of positions, those kinds of questions. And then you go to the workshops. And in terms of the research, I go to a lot of workshops, because this is, in many respects, the World Economic Forum with a different twist to it. But nevertheless, it's those world level conversations that are happening. So we'll be going to workshops on artificial intelligence, how we're all going to be merging with AI, or we'll be going to workshops on psychedelics and how the psychedelic revolution is now transforming, or about to transform, the global landscape in terms of shifting everybody's worldviews. Once everybody is a little bit stoned, so the theory goes, we can shift into the next phase of our evolution. And then I'll be going to other workshops even on legal issues. So last year, I went to a workshop on about giving, how do I say this, about giving nature the same rights as humans, literally giving nature human rights. And by the way, this is a global legal movement. It's being enshrined in legislation in different parts of the world. And so the lobbyist who was giving the presentation was explaining to us that there's fundamentally no difference between you and the dust, and you and beavers, and you and creatures. That's a onist perspective. And
Well,
okay.
do they also include trees and plants?
Well,
And there's no
of
difference.
course, everything. And so, and this is this kind of bridges both the outreach and the research side. I mean, I've been there a lot. So I've also been to a bunch of regionals. I just couldn't take it. My hand had to go up, and I had to ask a question.
You had to ask a question. Okay.
I had to ask a question. And it's more of a statement, and it was something to the effect of, beavers aren't having these conversations, deer aren't having these conversations, geese aren't having these conversations. The very fact that we're having these conversations, pro or con, demonstrates that we have a value higher than nature. And the lobbyist giving the presentation, it stopped him in his tracks.
Right.
He, it didn't change his position. He just doubled down on it. But a lady sitting right beside me who turns, she looks at me and she goes, "You're right." And then we have a huge conversation afterwards, and we're still in contact with her and her friend. And
very good.
Yeah, we ended up having them come to our Bible studies, which we did every morning at our camp. And we weren't doing the Bible study for the Burn community, though. If burners wanted to come, trust me, you're more than welcome.
Right.
We opened a tent for you, and they came.
Yeah.
And they were part of it, and others came as well. So, that's where all of a sudden we want to bridge this. We want to bridge this as Christian ambassadors.
Yeah.
Totally want to bridge this. Yeah.
That is, I mean, to be honest with you, Carl, this is one of the most fascinating attempts of evangelism that I know of in the world. I'm not joking about that. I mean, we got people going into Africa, and I went into India. We've got people going into Asia and to different parts of Europe, all over the world, evangelizing the gospel of Jesus Christ, which is good. Okay. Because, but nobody thinks about going to Burning Man. And I'm sure you're going to tell us a little bit about what all goes on in Burning Man, because people are listening to this and are beating the door down for that. But you go there to evangelize, but you go in there in a way like Apostle Paul, who's standing there at Mars Hill and says, after they gave their speeches and said, "Guys, I have a feeling you guys are worshiping an unknown God. Okay, let me tell you about the real God. Let me tell you about God," which I'm hearing you say that they're searching for spiritualism. They're searching for nirvana, for peace, for a higher level, for human goodness. I mean, they are truly searching for the truth. I mean, I'm not, and you don't offend them. You don't go in there with this offensive, judgmental attitude. You just go in there and say, let us show you another way, or let us show you a way we understand. So I find that not every Christian that I know of could do this. Matter of fact, very few Christians could do this. This takes a special attempt, that you have to have a special attempt to do this. It's incredible, but it needs to be done.
It's intentional. Like, we're going there intentionally. And we're going there for a few purposes. One is the outreach. Absolutely. Then there's the research. The research to understand, first of all, that culture, because that's a culture with a global footprint. There's over 100, I believe 108 or 110 regional burns around the world. And again, this is just part of a much larger movement.
Right.
And then we're also there doing research on major trends that go beyond the burn experience, like artificial intelligence and the legal implications, like I was just talking about. But in terms of people coming, searching, oh, absolutely. 100%. There's tens of thousands of people coming, searching. They're expecting something. That's what makes this place unique. They're coming with an expectation that there's going to be something happen in their life. And I mean, the world's a mess, and folks know it. I mean, we've had so many conversations where people are like, yeah, I don't, even in this context of Burning Man, they're going, well, I don't trust the government really anymore after COVID, or, I don't trust this. So many of them come out of a church background, unfortunately. We run into former Christians, a lot of former Christians, especially when we go to like pagan events like Paganicon. There's loads and loads of people there with a church background. Like, I would say, especially in the pagan community, probably a majority. But there's a few things, a few really important points when it comes to doing this kind of outreach. Number one, you see them as people. That's all.
Oh, that's true. Absolutely.
That's all they are. They're just like you and me. My friend Bob Worley, who used to come inside the city, he doesn't do that so much anymore, but he came in with me in 2017. One of the things that struck me with Bob's approach, because Bob's been going out to Burning Man since 97. He lives in the area. And Bob's approach is really simple. When he'd hug the people, and by the way, it's a hugging economy. If you don't like getting hugged or don't like getting touched, don't go to Burning Man. It's just that simple.
It's real touchy-feely there. I mean,
yeah, well, kind of is. I mean, it's a clothing optional event,
right?
So you got to be willing to hug people, regardless of if you've got some great big huge dude that's just hit on you as a guy, and you diffuse it, because that stuff happens out there. You diffuse it, and you have a conversation, and you hug the guy. So what?
Yeah.
But Bob would hug them, and he would look into their eyes, and he'd say, "You're a brother in Adam, and I would love it if you would become a brother in Christ."
Wow. Are you serious? Carl Tykrib. He's from Canada, and he teaches Bible college. I mean, it's just an it's an incredible thing. But I thought about that, because he set up this tent. He usually has about 8. His team usually about 8 to 10 people, and they name the outside their tent the unknown God. And people come in trying to figure out, well, who's the unknown God? What's this about? And then he starts the process of finding out who they are and what they're doing, and what their deal is. And then he begins to share with them that the unknown God is Jesus Christ. He's the God of the universe. And they begin to break it down. They begin to share the gospel of Jesus Christ to people. And of course, some people just turn around, walk out, and others sit and listen. And they usually lead a dozen people or so to Christ in this event. They pass out a lot of tracts. They witness to a lot of people. And they go right into the darkness. It's extraordinary effort. But Apostle Paul did exactly what he said. He went to Athens, and he stood there on Mars Hill, where they were pagan worshipers. And he stood right there with them. And he said, okay, guys, I've been hanging out with you guys for a little while, watching and listening to everything you're saying, but I think you guys are worshiping an unknown God. Let me tell you about the true and living God. So that's his approach. And interesting. If you want to hear that entire interview, which it is incredibly fascinating, and I think my son Paul Jr. does a great job in managing this, check it out at the Paul Begley podcast. It's about an hour and a half long. It is fascinating, and he really breaks down what really goes on at Burning Man, and it'll open your eyes, really, to the bondage that a lot of people are in, and that only Jesus Christ can break those chains. You can go to Paul Begley podcast. It's right here on YouTube. Listen to the entire podcast, and not only that one, but many others that we've done. It's free. It's at the Paul Begley podcast YouTube channel, and go and subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I think we're over 700 now, and we need a push to get there. So you can also listen to it on Spotify or on Amazon Music or iHeartRadio or anywhere and everywhere podcasts are found. It's a free podcast. Check it out. God bless all of you. We love you. Give your life to Jesus Christ. That's what it's all about. God bless.